Hello again, Group Coach Nation. I got Natalie Gregorian here again. Thank you, Natalie, for hanging out with us. Appreciate you
Yeah,
being.
thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
We're just having a chill conversation today, but I think it's a really valuable one. Honestly, it's one of the most valuable to me because I have one tattoo. Natalie, you don't know this. I have one tattoo. It's on the inside of my left bicep. I would show y'all, but I mean, I might rip my shirt because I'm so huge. It's on the inside of my left bicep, and it's the word free. And I got that one tattoo because I have this whole list of tattoos I want, but I have such a hard time deciding, like, do I want it bad enough to have it for forever? And that is the one word so far that has meant so much to me. Freedom from, like, healing from stuff in my past that others have done to me, that I've done to myself. Freedom from just overworking, freedom from bad relationships, freedom from things that I wish I wasn't connected to or addicted to or whatever. Like, lots of freedom in life. We're all striving for in some way or another. As entrepreneurs, all of you out there in Group Coach Nation, all of us as entrepreneurs, you know this, you get this. We struggle with working too much. There's so much to do. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're running and gunning, you're doing all this stuff, there's just an endless amount of things that seem like it takes you from, oh, I'm getting off at 3:00 today to go walk my dog and then hang out with a friend. And you end up at 5 and then at 7 and then calling people and saying, look, can we just postpone? Because there's just stuff to do. Or you go out with your friends and then you come back and it's 9:00, 10:00, whatever, and you're going to work till 2. It's real. This used to be me. And Natalie, this is one of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you, other than just hanging out and being cool, because you're awesome. I wanted you to, we need to talk about this. It was probably 10 years ago for me. I think it was 2014. Like, I'm sure it was. Late 2013, early 2014. I'm working like, I don't know, 12, 14-hour days. And I remember I got 5 kids. At that point, they were all littler. And that's a really, really strong statement right there. At that point, 10 years ago, my children were younger, actually 10 years younger. In case y'all didn't know how that works. Okay, I'll shut up in just a second, but here's how this was going on. 12 to 14-hour days. I'm literally in the backyard raking leaves in the fall. It was like late in the year. Last raking, maybe like late December, early January. And I had the floodlights on in the backyard. I mean, I'm raking leaves at like 10:00 at night because it had to be done. And I was like, this has got to stop. I'm missing everything. So I got really disciplined, found an expert like you, and locked in on what's going to give me freedom as an entrepreneur. It's because it's going to take some hard decisions. I had to start delegating, had to find the right person, had to think of systems, had to start like all the stuff. And within 4 months, Natalie, I was at 4 hours a day working and my income had quadrupled. And we took our first 5-week vacation that summer.
Wow. That is so huge.
It was amazing. And that's changed my life. And it kept getting better. Like, it kept getting better and better and better. So, Natalie, thanks for being here. Why are you, like, what's the backstory here for you? Why are you so focused on this whole freedom, get your life back kind of thing?
So I got my ops chops. I cut my ops teeth on I worked with 6-figure businesses, 7-figure businesses, and 8-figure businesses. And the big bad secret of operations and of scaling your business is that as you scale, your problems don't go away. The 8-figure businesses had the same exact operational bottlenecks as the 6-figure businesses. They were just compounded. They had snowballed. They were way hairier. They were way uglier. And the owners of the business, their hair was on fire if they weren't already tearing it out. The team's hair was on fire and they were jumping ship. And honestly, they were like scared of burning the whole thing down. And I decided that if I can help the 6-figure businesses fix their operational bottlenecks and get their freedom back at 6 figures, they wouldn't have to have that pain at 7 figures and 8 figures. And it's so much easier to fix, Chris, when you're at 6 figures and things are simpler. Oh my goodness, it's so much easier to fix. And people are still having the same pain that you had. Like, I love you, Chris, but you're not a special snowflake. There are so many people who come to me who have the same exact problems. They're working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. at least. They're
Yeah.
like missing dinners with their kids. They don't feel connected to their spouses anymore. Their friends have stopped asking them to go out and do things with them because their answer is always no. And all of a sudden, they found that their business has taken over their life.
Mhm.
And where they were once this multifaceted human being with friends and families and hobbies, now they've turned into a one-dimensional shadow of themselves where all they do is work.
That's so real. And you just struck a chord there, because for me, when I was in that place, I had given up friends, family, hobbies, all the stuff. The health, my personal health was just getting worse and worse and worse. You're making all these coping decisions. But
Yeah.
I was telling myself, because I was telling others, oh, it's all great. I'm crushing it. Here's all the stuff I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like we put on a Halloween costume as entrepreneurs to like go be somebody we're actually really not on the inside. Inside you're not a happy camper, but on the outside you got your face paint on and you're looking all happy. So, okay, Natalie, for those of you who don't know, Natalie is the owner of an organization called Tip Top Ops. This is what she does: coaches, consults, like solves the problems. So Natalie, by the way, her website, if you're just listening to this, her website's on the screen there: tiptopops.co, tiptopops.co. All right, Natalie, take us through, like, I guess there's, at least for me, I don't know about, like, I'm so curious to hear you. For me, there was like two sides of this. I had to like uncover and acknowledge and discover a few things about what was actually going on in my life. And then that created an opportunity where we could see clearly enough to say, oh, here's the solutions and time to get to work. Where do you start with this?
So, where I start with anyone that I work with is getting really clear on what they're working towards. What freedom are they trying to find? Because that's almost every entrepreneur I know has started their business because they wanted some degree of freedom. But you can't just stop there. You can't just say, I want more freedom. That's going to look different for every single person. So we have to get really clear on, what does your freedom look like? Does it look like you're able to take Fridays off? Does it look like you're able to end your workday at 3 p.m. so that you can go pick up the kids from school and be an engaged parent when they're at home? Does it look like, taking a 5-week vacation in the summer? Whatever that freedom is, that's what we're going to optimize for. That's our bullseye. And that's the business that we're going to build together. So we always, always, always start there.
Can I say something about that? I
Yes,
think
please.
that's okay. That's so great. I was just talking to another guy a few minutes ago, and we were exchanging some network connections, and we were just talking about how freedom is so different for everybody. Like for me, it's working less. For some people, it's they have a dollar amount they want to hit. For some people, it's paying off debt, or it's creating experiences, or it's impact, or whatever. It's just, yeah, okay, I love this. Okay. So we got to identify what is the bullseye. What's the actual target of freedom that's meaningful to me, not to someone else.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So that is the overarching bullseye that we're aiming towards. And then from there, we systematically redesign and restructure your business to make it happen. Almost every single person I work with, the first thing that we do is figure out how to remove them as the main bottleneck of their business. More often than not, they are the everything person. Even if they have a team, they are the ones doing most things. And if they're not doing it, they're micromanaging it. Not because they want to be micromanagers, but because it just happens when you aren't able to let go of control. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a multi-step process. We get the business out of their head. We install a key team member who loves the jobs that they hate and manages themselves. We install a super simple operating system that manages the business for them. And then, with those things in place, we essentially fire themselves as the everything person so that they can finally focus in their zone of genius. That may be the definition of success, that they feel like everything they do in their work lights them up. Everything fills their cup. They don't have to work in the things that are draining for them and they suck at and they hate.
I love it. Okay, this is like so the same path that I went down a decade ago. This is great. I'm like thinking back to those. Like, okay, so here's what my everything you just said. Got to define what are those things that are like drain you. Then you got to put that key person in place that's going to manage themselves. That's where like full stop for a second. I had so much trouble with that. Not because I couldn't find a person, because there's lots of agencies out there who help you find a person or whatever, but like it took me a while, like way too long, to be the boss that would actually let someone else succeed. And honestly, I think a lot of my failure and struggle with the process was because I was in the way and thought it was that this other person or people weren't quite good enough to do the work. How do you That's a big deal. I talk to so many entrepreneurs who are like, I've hired 10 people this way and it just none of them, there's no good people out there. And I don't know. I used to think that too, but that's not true.
It becomes a self-fulfilling loop because no one teaches you how to be a good manager or a good leader. And so you hire the wrong people and you mismanage them and they don't produce results that you want to see. And so you prove to yourself that there's no one good out there. I can't trust anyone to do the things as good as I do them. And so you have to jump in and micromanage, or you get rid of the team and you're back to doing it yourself in the first place. So step one is, there is some component of learning how to be a good leader and a good manager. But the beautiful thing about having systems and like operational infrastructure in your business is that it takes so much managerial load off of your plate. You don't have to be the 100% manager anymore. You can be a 30% manager because your systems are doing the heavy lifting 70%.
Yeah.
And so that is like hand in hand. When we bring in a team member for you, we also install the operating system that will manage them. They know exactly what's on their plate every single day. They know when things are due. They know what the priority level of those things are. You have visibility and access into all of that. So you don't have to blow up their DMs every single day saying, hey, Chris, what are you working on? Hey, Chris, what's the status of this client or this project? Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
You just look at the simple operating system and it tells you exactly all of that. You have the visibility to make sure that everything's going okay without being down in the weeds with your people, doing it with them.
How do you decide what's what a person's like best use of time, highest value things to do, the passion that really drives them? How do you decide that? How do you help someone discover that? Because sometimes we're so burnt out we can't see it, or sometimes there's like, but I like 10 things, you know? We're entrepreneurs, we're creatives, we do lots of stuff, right?
Yeah, this is going to sound really nerdy. And every time I bring this up, I get like the most eye rolls. And I literally, okay, so here it is. And then I'll explain it. So when I first start working with someone, I have them do a time audit. And there's this program called Timular. I'll plug them. They have a really, really generous free trial. And you track your time according to what hats you're wearing. And so when I tell my clients this, I'm like, hey, I'm going to have you time track for 2 weeks. so that we can actually like get the data on what's going on and where you're spending your time, how you're spending your days. And we can look at it from a data-driven perspective as opposed to I feel like I'm spending 1,000 hours in my email, because that's an unhelpful place to start. Whenever I tell people this, I get the like, ugh, please, no, I hate this. It's hard. Okay. The last client that I did this with, I got that very same reaction. I started working with him 5 months ago. He is still time tracking because he loves it so much. I told him, you only have to do it for 2 weeks. It's just to collect data. He is still doing it of his own volition because he loves having the data and seeing his progress, where the time he spends in his CEO hat is growing and growing and growing, and the time he spends in all these other hats that he hates is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
Yeah.
So when we get back our data from 2 weeks, because that's about how long it takes to get a good picture of what's going on in the business, we only start with what is the one hat that we're going to take off right now. We do one hat at a time, systematically take that off, systematically bring someone in who can do it better than you and faster than you. They manage themselves, and you win back your time every single week, every single month, and that compounds into figuring out what hat comes off next, what hat comes off next.
I so appreciate you bringing this up. I don't know anybody, Natalie. I don't know anybody. I think I can make this a really clean, clear statement because I think I'm being accurate. I don't know anyone who's truly scaled and grown something who is doing it all themselves. And I'm going to lump in doing it all yourself with the person who has one part-time VA or something like that. That's just like helping with tasks you throw over the fence, but it's just do this, do this, do this. That's just simply not scalable.
No.
There's no freedom in it. First of all, you're not going to get your life back, but also, let's be honest, all of us are here trying to build something. I know so many of you out there, Group Coach Nation, you have such awesome goals and your expertise and your knowledge. You can actually change people's lives, and you can't do it alone. You'll just burn out and you won't be any good to anybody else. So get your freedom, get your time. Here's what I've done with my time. Right or wrong, this is me. When I first started getting my time back, I started taking half of that time. Like if I got an hour back a day, let's say, 30 minutes of it was to be only hyper productive. So I would only prospect with that extra 30 minutes. And then the other 30 minutes of the hour, I would just be free. Just take time off and go home. And then I got 2 hours off, and I would take 1 hour for prospecting, 1 hour for just being time off. So I kept working my time freedom where I would actually be off earlier, but my income and strategic reach was growing rapidly. And within 4 months, I had 2 virtual team members who were working full time and had way more than paid for them. Couldn't believe the results because we had 4 extra income. Yeah, so worth it. Okay, so again, Natalie, your website is tiptopops, tiptopops.co. So tiptopops.co. Who's the perfect person? And I don't mean to make this a commercial or a pitch, but let's just be honest. If you're listening to this and you know you're needing help, it's Natalie or somebody, right? You got to get this sorted out. If it was your strength, you'd probably be doing it already. That's the way I look at my own coaching. When I need coaching, if I was going to figure something out, I would have by now, right? Okay. So who's the person who should reach out to you, Natalie, so that we're not just filling your calendar with people who shouldn't reach out to you? I know your time's limited.
Yeah. So I actually had the most horribly perfect example of someone I had a call with the other day. His name was Jack. We'll call him Jack. He told me that he is working about 65 to 70 hours a week. I said, "Oh, ouch, Jack. Like, how long have you been doing that for?" And he looked at me with like the most dead eyes and said, "The last 15 years."
Wow.
And my heart just broke for him. Because like most people I work with, like maybe they're working nights and weekends for like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Like they're just starting to feel the tingle of burnout. And they're like, "Ooh, man, I don't know if I can do this for much longer." Jack's been working 70 hours a week for 15 years. And these are direct quotes. He described himself as joyless, a shell of a man, not really engaged with his 4 kids, working like a zombie, completely empty, out of gas. And I'm like, "Oh, Jack, like, man, we got to help you. Like you're in pain and it doesn't have to be this way. We can get you that freedom back." And so, I mean, that's an extreme example. And I would love to work with people before they get to that I'm a shell of a man point. But if you're a mid 6-figure entrepreneur, you're sick of doing everything yourself, you're ready to fire yourself as the everything person. You're ready to scale your company in a way that's sustainable. You're ready to grow without the burnout. Come talk to me. I really, really want to help you. This is what I love doing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I love getting entrepreneurs their lives back.
I love that. I can feel that. Okay. Like I know that experience in myself. That's so great. Okay. Natalie, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate this, Chris. This was fun.
This is a super chill conversation, everybody. And y'all know our style here. This is just real stuff. Often we're like, Natalie on our show, we're like letting people like peek in and see like what's going on in this group coaching program because they want to see under the hood. But like this is the stuff that makes under the hood work. This is why I'm able to do so much. Natalie, you've met several people on my team. We have a team of 6, not counting me. It's a small team in some people's advantage, but it's a big team. It's just whatever the right team is for you. I know what freedom equals for me, and I know what freedom equals for our team members. And my goal as an entrepreneur is to help people achieve those freedom points. That's really great. So, Natalie, thank you for being here and educating. Go to Tip Top Ops, folks. If you're just looking for freedom, go there. If you're trying to figure out, I don't know what to organize, I don't know what system to use. If you're sitting on the sidelines thinking, what CRM do I use? Where do I hire a team member? Should it be you're in your local country or somewhere else? Should it be like, how do I get SOPs written? Like all the things you got to do. I promise you will make more money and save money by just freaking hiring somebody who's already got it done. Like just trust the process.
You're a perfect example, Chris. Like the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, I know it. I freaking love it. Okay, Natalie, thanks. Appreciate your help.
Thanks, Chris.
Group Coach Nation, y'all know how this works. If you need more stuff on group coaching and masterminds, groupcoachnation.com. Groupcoachnation.com for all that. Ask us questions below. If you have questions about getting your freedom back, operations, staffing, team, all the things to like get your life back and get your profit margins up, that's Natalie, tiptopops.co. Reach out to her there, or feel free to reach out to her in the comments below, and we'll forward those and tag her and make sure she's getting those. As always, just do the work to get the results. We say it all the time here. Do work, get results. We just want you doing the right work. It's not a hustle lifestyle we're pushing here. Do the right work. And Natalie's got the structure on that one. All right. Everybody, have an awesome day. Go take action. Do the things you know you're supposed to do. Get after it. Bye, y'all.